okay when
I'm unmuted.
Terry comes on? You're on? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody that wants to ask a question or tell us a good story, push *6, unmute yourself. When you get through, please push *6 and mute yourself back. Who would like to be first tonight?
I would, Lance from Minnesota.
Come on.
Hi, Gary.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm working on that 1020 with the property tax.
Oh, good. Okay.
And what I'm trying to do is my next move. I threatened to sue them. I wouldn't mind doing it, but I don't really know what I'm doing.
Right. Now, the property tax is for your state, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have to sue them in state court.
Okay.
And so what you want to do, though, is after you send them the 1020, then do your fault. Have you done your fault and then your default? And the reason for it is we're going to try to get you that, because that gives you proof that you've done everything you can. Now, there's only two things that are allowed in court, okay? Facts and evidence. The facts are you're trying to pay it. The evidence is here's my form that they won't fill out. Does that make sense?
Yep, and they've admitted to receiving the form 3 times.
Okay, so now you're ready, and what you need to do is get in hold of me, and we'll I'll help you kind of draft a rough draft of it, and then you can go ahead and finish that up. If that'll help you there, we'll try to figure that out. Now, do you have a Black's Law dictionary?
I have one on my computer.
Okay, if you can, I'm going to have you look up a word in it. I'm going to show you why we do it the way we do it. We're trying to not only just tell you, we're not just trying to help you do it. We want to show you why, so that if you have to defend it, you can. So if you would, look up the word form. That's F-O-R-M in Black's Law Dictionary. Then what that will do is, as you read it, we'll stop and tell you what it says. That way, you'll see why we do it the way we do it. Does that make sense for you?
You bet it does.
Okay.
You want me to
look up. What's that?
Would you like me to mute out while I find it?
Yes, if you will, and then when you come back in, we'll have you read it. That way you can see why we do it. That's why we do it this way, and then you'll also see why the IRS does what they do and how come they do it and why they get away with it. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I found the word if you want me to read it.
You found what?
I found form in Blacks.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you know how to read?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Go. Yes, if you will. Now, I want you to read it, and then I'll stop you so we can kind of explain it. Go ahead. Go ahead and read form.
Form. A model or skeleton of an instrument to be used in a judicial proceeding or legal transaction.
Stop. Okay, stop right there. Now, the word form says it's a model or a skeleton of an instrument. So it's no longer a form. It's now an instrument. So, to be used in a judicial proceeding, that's a court. So now it's a model, it is an instrument to be used in a court of law. See, do you see how now the whole story's changed? We thought it was something you filled out. Now go ahead and finish it, if you will.
Containing the principal necessary matters, comma, the proper technical terms or phrases, and whatever else is necessary to make it formally correct, comma, arranged in proper and methodical order, comma, and capable of being adapted to the circumstances of the specific case or transaction.
Okay, so what it is I've heard this all my adult life when I've been doing this. The reason when you file a 1040, it's a contract. And what the contract does, see, but it's not a contract. It's an instrument. If you don't mind, let's look up the word instrument and see what we're really dealing with. So what you have is you think it's a form, but it's really an instrument. Let's see what instrument says in Black's Law Dictionary, and then you'll see what they're doing to us. Okay. One other thing, while we're looking at this, while he's looking that up, if somebody wants to have a question, ask the question. That way we won't have a lot of dead space. Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, explain the nature of a 1020.
Okay, a 1020 it's something I made. Okay, it looks like a 1040, but I just made it up. It's a form. You could call it a form 4211, a 727. You can just call it Form 1. It doesn't really matter. What it is it's a 1020. And the guy that asked me that just now, are you in front of a computer by any chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you would you go online and look up Title 31, Section 3124. And then what I'll do is, as I'm telling you what it says, when you come back on, I'll kind of tie it into you. But a 1020 is a form that I made up. It kind of looks like a 1040. So see, it's a model or a skeleton of an instrument to be used in a judicial proceeding. In other words, we're giving you a model or a skeleton of an instrument to be used in a court of law. So we're going to build you a argument with the government that you're going to ask them questions. If they answer them, they cut their throat. If they don't answer them, they cut their throat. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, sir. That was Title 31 what?
Title 31, Section 3124, 3124. Now, before you read that, the guy that was looking up instrument, would you read that for us?
Yes. Instrument, a formal or legal document in writing, comma, such as a contract, comma, deed, comma, will, comma, bond, comma, or lease. A writing
go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off too quick. Go ahead.
A writing that satisfies the requisites of negotiability prescribed by UCC Article 3.
Now, do you see what it is? A form is what? It's a contract. So, but it's a unilateral. In other words, you only have to have one signature. So what's happening to us, if anything you do with the government, no matter what it is, a ticket, if you get a ticket, that is a form. See, if you go down and get a property tax bill, that's a form. If they file a lien or a levy against you, that's a form. See, they use forms, and the reason for it is they're using a language. It's called legalese. Unless you understand it or know it, they're going to back you into the corner. Then what happens is you're trying to argue from a negative position, or you're defending yourself. And if you're always on defense, the problem with defense, in order for you to win a basketball game, if you're on defense the whole game and never touch the ball, I guess you could win. I don't know how, but see, we're having a hard time winning anything because we're always on defense. The way we're doing it is we're on offense from the moment we get up in the morning until we go to bed. We're on offense 100% of the time, and we do a full court press. What that does is it puts them in a real bad position, puts us in the driver's seat. Now, if you're walking down the road and a guy pulls over and says, get in, and he's driving, and you're going with him, and he's drunk, and he's bumping the curbs and all that, you're sitting in the passenger side, you're scared to death. But you can't do anything because you're a passenger. That's what they're doing to us. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to show you how to be on offense. Now, the guy that looked up Title 31, Section 3124, would you read it so that I can show you how we're using this?
It's entitled Exemption from Taxation. A.
Now, stop. Okay, stop. Well, hold on. Now, would you like to know what's exempt from taxation? Would you like to know what it is?
Sure.
Okay, the 1020 is an exemption from taxation form. Now read what's exempt from a taxation. Go ahead and read it.
A. Stocks and obligations of the United States government are exempt from taxation by a state or political subdivision of a state. The exemption applies to each form of taxation that would require the obligation, the interest, or the obligation, or both to be considered in computing the tax, except one.
Don't worry about that. That's okay. Okay, hold on. That's like selling a gun. That is a non-discriminatory franchise. In other words, if you get involved with the government, you're going to sell school books to the schools or something. You're going to have to pay it because you're asking to have a benefit. See, so that's not it. That we don't care about that. Now, here. So, can I ask you a question? Would you tell me what's exempt from taxation?
Oh, government bonds and obligations.
Exactly. See, a government bond, actually it's a government, I think it's a stock or obligation.
Yes, sir, stock obligation.
Okay, now, here's the question. Now, would you look up Title 18, Section 8? Because that's going to define it. So, it says a stock and obligations of the federal government are exempt from taxation by a state or a political subdivision of a state. Now, here's where the question comes.
18 what? Section what?
8. Now, what we do is I have a 1020 form, and it's a exemption from taxation. Now, when you buy a candy bar at the 7-Eleven, before we get into that, let's define this first. I don't want to get caught before the horse, so it confuses you. Now, if you would you read Title 18, Section 8?
I'm working on it.
Okay, and as you read it, I'm going to tell you to stop so we can talk about it. Go ahead.
I got to wait till it pops up.
Okay. Now, remember, he's going to read what the definition is, and everything that he reads is exempt from taxes. Go ahead, now read it.
Well, we've had a breakdown on the runway. I didn't get it. Hang on a second.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
got Section 8 housing.
Yeah, well, that's good. Good for you. I live in Section 9 housing, and you ought to see it. It's real bad.
Okay, you said Title 18, right?
Yeah, 18. Yeah. Now, Title 18 is crimes and criminal procedures. So, what does that mean? That means if you violate Title 18, it's a felony.
Right.
So, if you violate Title 18, somebody's going to jail. Now, let's read Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedures, Section 8. What does it, just restart at the heading and then stop.
Obligation or other security of the United States.
Okay, here's what it's going to do. It's going to tell you what obligations, stocks and obligations are. Now, if you would, read them.
The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes.
Stop right there. Did you hear anything that you recognized?
Oh, yeah. National bank currency and Federal Reserve notes. And a certificate of indebtedness.
Okay. Now, I want you to finish reading them because there's a couple other ones in there that they're going to throw at you that we're going to be able to stop it because we understand it. Now, go ahead and finish reading those, and then we're going to talk about that.
The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates, indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve bank notes, coupons, United States notes, Treasury notes, gold certificates, silver certificates, fractional notes, certificates of deposit, bills, checks, and drafts for money drawn by or upon authorized officers of the United States, stamps, and other representatives of value of whatever denomination issued under any act of Congress and canceled United States stamps.
Okay, now, let me show you what they're saying. If you go to the post office and you buy a 50-cent stamp, how much does it cost you?
50 cents.
Well, what about the tax?
Oh.
No, stamps are exempt from taxation. You're exactly right. If you go to the U.S. Post Office and buy a postcard, there's no tax. You go there and buy a roll of tape, there's no tax. The post office is doing it proper. Now, my question is, if you go to a candy bar or to a 7-Eleven and get a candy bar, and the candy bar is $1, how much do you pay for it?
$1.08.
Okay. How can you pay $1.08 if you're using Federal Reserve notes? Oh, you write a check. Well, checks are listed there. Other, well, that's your credit card. So if that candy bar is figured in Federal Reserve notes, they cannot charge you tax. So there's a form you can get off of your state, fill it out, and go everywhere you go and turn it out, and you don't pay sales tax on anything. I haven't paid sales tax in over 20 years on nothing. Now, if you understand that, now you see what we're doing. So if you have property tax, what do they figure the property tax in?
Federal Reserve notes.
Okay, they can't. If you look at your property tax bill, there's no dollar signs on it. The reason there isn't, it's voluntary. So my 1020 form, it goes in there, and I'm just using it as an example. On your tax, your property tax bill, it's not a bill, it's a statement. So now you're automatically thrown off. On this statement, it's going to say, it's going to have a box or it's a line or a circle, and it's going to say, value of the land, $100,000. Now, what the 1020 does, it says in the box labeled value of the property, what does the 100,000 mean? Then I take and I put lines, and I got stocks, obligations, Federal Reserve notes, bonds, checks. Anyway, I put each one of them on there. Does that make sense? And then I put under there, or other, check one. And then what happens is, if you have 10 boxes on your statement, in other words, it might say property, it might say sewer, it might say water, it might say improvements. Every one of those that are listed, they're going to have a value. And then at the very end, it's going to say total, $6,100. Then we're going to say, in the box that states total, does the total 6,100 represent? And then we're going to do the same thing. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give them 15 days to check the box, and then it says, then it's going to say, signed by, under penalties of perjury, all the foregoing is true, correct, to the best of my ability. Now, if they don't sign it, we do a fault, then a default. Then we take the default down to the county, and we file it in the county. Then we make a cover letter saying, here's the payment for the property tax on lot so-and-so for $6,100, and then we send it to them. Then what I do is I take the 1040 has a 1040, and then it has an instruction booklet. What I do is I do a 1020 and a cover sheet. On the cover sheet, I basically say, this is sent to you because I'm not an attorney. I need help. I don't understand. What does the figures mean? If you fill it out, I'll have these certified funds. So far, I've been doing this since 1990, and I have never had a county ever check a box, sign it, and return it. Then what I do is I take the default and pay the property tax with it. Then what I end up having to do, I've had to sue the county several times because the county won't accept it. But we have to strike first. You can't go in there on the defensive. That would be the defendant. We're going to go in there on the offense. Our facts are we have tried to pay the tax. And on the cover letter, I always say I am ready, willing, and able to pay. I want to pay. I'm ready to pay. Please let me pay. I'm begging to let me pay. I want to pay, but I'm not an attorney. I cannot make a legal determination. So, if you don't tell me how to pay, then you agree the money is not due. Then I do a fault, then a default. I file the default, then I pay the property tax with the default. I give them 30 days in between each one. If I ever hear from them again, I immediately file a lawsuit against the county in the state on the grounds I'm trying to pay my tax and they refuse to let me. Now, let me ask the guy that was reading that, are you still here?
I'm still here.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to show you what happens. I got a steel-toed boot on my foot. All right? I take 3 steps and I kick you directly in the scrotum. And I get you a perfectly good hit. And I mean it's hard. Would it hurt?
Yes.
Okay, now you just shot yourself in the foot. All right? Now watch why I say, Ed, if I kick him in the scrotum, would it hurt you?
Not me.
Huh. So you said it would hurt. I got a guy that says it doesn't hurt. Did you see what you did? Oh, wait a minute. Did you see what you did? You answered the question. Okay. See? So that's what the problem is. We always answer the question and we don't understand it. So the question is, see, if I give you this 1020 and you don't fill it out, you, Billy Bob, tax assessor collector, has admitted, see, owner for 123 Main Street does not, will not, and cannot pay. See, now we're making it particular. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think.
See, because it doesn't hurt me, doesn't hurt Ed, and I can run 500 people in there and ask them, did that hurt? Every one of them is going to say it did not hurt. Now, see, now you're going to defend from a negative position, aren't you?
Yeah.
See what the problem is? We have to, when you do this, we have to always do that. Now, I'm going to, okay, the guy that was reading that, can I ask you another question to show you how we have to be focused and how I do this? Now, this is the way I do it. Because, see, we have a form. You know what a form is now. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Have a go.
All right. Are you married?
No.
Okay, so you don't have a job. Hello? So you don't have a job?
Well,
see, now you're defending it again. Here's the problem. Have you ever heard, wait a minute, have you ever heard this saying, I'm married to my job? Have you heard that?
I have heard that.
Oh, see, I asked you if you were married. You said no, so you don't have a job. See, now you're defending the job when I meant a wife. Do you see? So, now, the problem is, I'm a real butthole when it comes to this, and the reason for it is, words mean everything, okay? Now that you're there, would you look up something else so I can show you the reason I'm having this exercise? Now,
Yes.
What I'm trying to tell you is ask me the same question so I can show you how you should start learning to answer questions. Ask me that question.
Okay, if I put on a steel-toed boot and kicked you squarely in the scrotum with a good hit, would it hurt?
I don't know. Hurt who? See, now I don't have to defend it. Because once you define hurt who, every time you say kick in the scrotum, that's what it means. See, now you have to say hurt you. Well, yeah.
Do you have a job?
I didn't ask you that.
Oh.
I asked you if you were married.
I said yes.
Okay. You said no.
Oh, no. You're right. I did say yes.
I know you did. I know you did.
Yes, I know I did say no. Excuse me.
See? Do you see? It gets confusing. Now, if you will, I'm going to show you why I'm doing that. If you would look up Title 1, Section 1. When it pops up, I'm going to have you read it and show you what they're saying, why it's important to understand what the form is, and why I'm trying to do it the way I'm doing it, okay? Now, the other thing I want to ask, does anybody out there, okay, will anybody answer this? Does anybody out there, will they answer a question for me? Because I'm going to ask, it's just real quick, and I'm going to show you what we have to be careful of.
Go ahead, Kerry. Ask.
Okay. Do you fill out a 1040?
No.
Why?
Because I don't have to.
Okay, all right, now, here's what you just said. I don't have to, okay? Now, I'm the judge. You're being indicted. Okay, why don't you have to?
Because I do a statement.
I'm not a volunteer.
Okay, you're not a volunteer. See what you're doing? We got all these answers. The problem we're having is, I don't care about you. That makes no difference. See, where the problem comes, we have to understand what we're talking about. And we have to be able to answer it and defend it. I don't care if you do or you don't, but you have to be able to defend it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I hear people say, well, I don't have to. Well, as soon as you said I don't have to, remember when I asked that guy if I kicked him in the scrotum, would it hurt? He said yes. I asked Ed. Ed said no. Now there's a conflict. You're going to have to go in front of a judge, and the judge is going to have to tell you whether you do or not. And now you can't make a legal determination. See, the arguments that we're putting out, in my opinion, they're bad. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Who looked up the 1040 instructions? Who got that downloaded? Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you a way, because it's getting close to income tax time. And we're going to start, we're going to have to do we're going to have to do something. I'm not going to tell you to or not to. See? So, is there anybody on the phone call that does not file a 1040?
I don't file a 1040.
Why?
Because I filed a statement.
Okay, you see, you can now stand and say that. So you can argue that. You have a perfectly legitimate argument that you don't have to say, well, see, you don't have to do that. What we can do is we're trying to show you how to do things that protects you just by knowing what they're saying. Now, does anybody on here Well, let me ask them another question. The guy that looked up Title 18, Section 8. Are you still with me? Are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you define income for me?
Income.
Okay. Let me make it. Let me say it a little. Let me make it a little easier for you. Will you define income for me? Or not?
It's the money derived from a trade or business practice.
Okay.
Within the United States.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you what income's definition is. Would you like to see what Congress calls it?
Yes.
Okay. Would you go to Title 31? Now, are you looking up 1040 for me, the 1040 instructions?
No, I was looking up Title 1.
Okay, look that up. But let's go to Title 31, Section 321, and I'm going to show you what the government says, what the Congress says income is. See, if we understand this and we know this, when you're pinched or you're squeezed, guess what you can do? See, you can argue from a positive or from the offensive position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Are you on Title 31?
Title 31, 321.
Yeah.
Little D is
hold on. You're going too fast now. Little D is in dog.
Oh.
Number 2. The little D is in dog. Number 2.
Well, that makes more sense. For the purposes of the federal income, estate.
Stop. Hold on. We're going to go through this slow enough so everybody can pick it up. So it says for the purposes of federal income. Now, do you want to know what the purposes of federal income is?
Certainly.
All right. See, this is important in my opinion. Now read it. For the purposes of federal income.
Estate and gift taxes, property accepted under paragraph 1 shall be considered as a gift or bequest to or for.
Hold on. Stop. What is income?
It's a gift or bequest.
Well, how come you didn't say that? You said it was from a profit from a U.S. something. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
But doesn't that change the whole story now?
Yeah, it's a gift or a bequest.
Okay. How much gifts? Do you make gifts and bequests when you work?
I guess so. I guess
okay,
not.
You guess
no.
No. I mean, I don't know. Okay.
Hell no, I work
for
it and I earn it.
There you Okay, then. So, the reason you don't, see, you could say, do you file a 1040? No, why? Because I don't have gifts and bequests. It doesn't matter why you don't, as long as you do it for a reason. Do you file? Yes, that's not a problem. I'm not telling you not to, and I'm not telling you to. I'm telling you, why do we do so? Do you step out? If there's a car speeding down the freeway at 80 miles an hour, would you jump in front of it?
No.
Why not?
It'll kill me.
Okay, so if you're paying 50% of your income, you can never retire. You have to work until you die. If you're paying 50% of your income, but you don't have income, you're giving. See? Do you see what's happening to us?
Yeah, we're killing ourselves.
Absolutely. So now, if that's the case, why would you do something you don't have to do and then complain about it?
You wouldn't.
You want to bet they do it all the time.
Precisely.
Now, did you find Title I, Section 1? Did you find it?
I did indeed.
All right. Start reading. I want to make sure you got the right. You don't have the CFR. But go ahead. What's the name of it?
Words denoting number.
All right. Now hold on a second. Now,
so forth.
Hold on. You're going too fast for me here. Now, I want to ask you a question. Did you know Title 26 is a statute? Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard this argument? Well, Title 26 has not been enacted into positive law. Have you heard that argument?
Of course.
Okay. Do you know why that does not matter? That makes no difference if it's in a positive. All right. I want you to read Title I, Section 1. This is the first title, the first section of what it says. And when you read it, so I can stop you, so we can talk about it. Now, go ahead and start reading it for me.
In determining the meaning of any act of Congress.
Stop right there. Hold on. So, Title 26, who writes Title 26?
It's an act of Congress.
Okay, so it does not say any act of Congress that's been passed into positive law. Doesn't say that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, start over and read it, and I'm going to stop you. Go ahead and start reading it, and then you're going to see why not being acted into positive law makes no difference. They love that argument. Because, see, when I asked you if I kicked you in the scrotum, you said, God, it would hurt. No, it wouldn't. See, you're complaining because it hurts. I didn't feel it. So, we have to be in the proper context so that when they ask you a question, the answer is the question that they asked. In other words, what's your name? You give them your first, your middle, and your last, your wife's name, your wife's middle name, your 3 kids. That's not what they asked. They ask you what your name is. Now, that's pretty funny. My name is Carrie, but my wife calls me Dumbass. So what's your name? Well, it's Dumbass. Why? Because that's what I go by. See, now, they asked me a question, and I answered the question they asked. Now, read Title I, Section 1, and then I'll stop you along the way so you can tell me what it says. Go ahead.
In determining the meaning of any act of Congress, unless the context indicates otherwise, words
Stop right there. Hold on. So what it's saying is, any act of Congress, Title 26 included, unless the context tells you otherwise, this is what we're going to be talking about. Now, start right there and go ahead and read.
Unless the context indicates otherwise, words importing the singular include and apply to several persons, parties, or things. Words importing the plural include the singular. Words
now stop right there. Hold on. Stop right there. So, let me ask you a question. Had you ever been married?
Yes.
Okay. So were you married to 3 or 4 or 5, 7, 12, 14 women at the same time? And had 9 or 10 girlfriends at the same time? That's what it says. Unless we tell you otherwise. If you're married and you have one wife, that's singular. What does it say? What does singular mean?
Words importing the plural include the singular.
Oh, so in other words, do you see the problem we're having?
Yeah.
Now read the next little batch, and then I'll stop you. We're going to talk about it. You're going to see what's going on with us and why we can't seem to hit our butt with both hands. Go ahead.
Words importing the masculine gender include the feminine as well.
So, when you were married to a man or a woman?
A woman.
No, you weren't.
Well, I was trying to keep it simple.
No, wait a minute. Unless we tell you otherwise. When you're in court in front of the judge and he says, are you married? Yes. To what? To a woman. He's home. He's married to a man. Get him out of here. He goes in the other line. See? In other words, no matter what you say, unless you know what they're talking about, unless you know exactly what they say, unless they tell you otherwise, this is what we're faced with. Does that make sense?
Almost.
Okay, now read the next one. It just gets worse from here. Read the next one.
Words used in the present tense include the future as well as the present.
Stop right there. See, when you do a 1040 form, see, now it's an instrument. When you fill out the instrument today, you have to do it in the future. It has nothing to do with it being a contract. It has to do with, unless they tell you otherwise. See, you got 6 or 7 balls in the air at all times. Unless you know exactly what they're saying, what they're doing is they're screwing you, and you don't even know it. Go ahead. Let's read the rest of it.
The words insane and insane person shall include every idiot, insane person, and person non-compos mentis.
Now, stop right there. Non-compos mentis. Let me ask you a question. Are you non-compos mentis?
Probably.
All right. Now you got a problem, because you don't even know what it means, do you?
Oh, yeah,
So,
not mentally competent.
Nope, that's not what it means. The guy that was looking up that has the black... see? So, in other words, when you're in court and they say you can't represent yourself because you're nuts, non-compos mentis means you have been certified as not nuts. So, in order for you to be not nuts, you have to go in front of the government psychiatrist. He's got to certify you that you're not insane so you can represent yourself. Otherwise, everybody is nuts and has to have an attorney because you're not capable of representing yourself. Now that you know that, well, are you non-compos mentis? Yeah, my mom said I wasn't crazy. See? My pastor thinks I'm just right in there, man. My next door neighbor thinks I'm smooth. See, now they have to come back to, no, you're nuts. Okay, now I object, because now I can object to the fact that they're saying I'm nuts when I got a piece of paper my mom signed when I was 10 saying, you're not nuts. Now what are we going to do? Do you see? Does that make sense to you? See, in other words, if you don't know what they're saying, then what? See? Now, it does not say in there to any act of Congress that's been passed into positive law. Doesn't say that. So Title 26 has not been passed into positive law, but that does not matter because Congress wrote it, unless we tell you otherwise. Now, if you get them to tell you that, well, it doesn't matter because it hasn't been enacted into positive law, then you're okay. But you have to have them. It tells you, unless they tell you otherwise, this is what we're dealing with. And I'm going to show you how to get them to tell you otherwise. If you're interested in it. Okay, let's finish reading it because it gets worse. Go ahead.
The words person and whoever include corporations, companies, associations, firms, partnerships, societies, and joint stock companies, as well as individuals.
Okay, I got whoever wants to come over. Do you know whoever by any chance? Do you know whoever?
I live next door to whoever.
Okay, now you diffused it. See, whoever can be a corporation. Do you know whoever? No. Do you know who General Motors is? Yeah, that's GM. That's General Motors. That's a corporation. So you do know them. See, now now you're defending again. See, none of this is insanity. But if you know it going into it, you can make them tell you otherwise. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Am I making any sense at all?
Yeah.
See, what's happening is our arguments aren't any good. Because, okay, let me show you why I say that. Now, by any chance, did you watch the Super Bowl?
No.
Do you know what the Super Bowl is?
I think so.
Oh, okay, so you see what you did? That's not what I asked you. See, now I can run off for the next 30 minutes and get you put in a corner where you can't get out. Because I asked you, do you know what the Super Bowl is? I think so. See, you've opened yourself up. See, that's what I'm trying to teach you.
What was
do
the
you know
proper answer?
Okay. Well, the proper answer is you just answer it. Do you know what the Super Bowl is?
Yes, it's a football game.
See, again, what you just did is you shot yourself in the foot. Do you know why? Because you said, yes, it's a football game. It's not what I asked. Do you know what the Super Bowl is? Yes. What? Oh, it's that salad bowl my wife uses to make this cucumber salad for Sunday when we're watching football. See, now I'm able. No, wait a minute. You see, no, that's not what it is. Oh, then what is it? Now I made them tell me otherwise, didn't I? See, what we're doing is we want to answer too much. Now, what state are you in? Do you mind me asking you?
Existence.
I'm sorry. Well, okay. Well, what state of the union are you in?
Texas.
All right. I live in the DFW area. In the DFW area, we wear belts to hold our pants up with these great big Texas buckles. Do you wear them there, where you're at? Okay, by your silence, I'll assume that you're so stupid you don't know what I'm saying. See, I'm going to put you in the corner. See, I'm going to make you defend. See, that's what we're doing. I'm trying to teach you, but this will work on property tax. This will work on tickets and all of that. So the question is, do you wear belts to hold your pants up with big buckles on them?
That depends. Yes, but the size of the buckle may vary.
Okay. Now you screwed yourself because you didn't make me tell you otherwise. How do you get the buckle on a fan belt? Are you there?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to say it for you, so I'll get it right.
No. See, ask me the same question, and I'm gonna teach you along the way how we make them do it otherwise. Ask me the same question.
How do you put the buckle on a fan belt?
See, that's not what I asked you. We don't. We wear leather belts, and we buy them already on there. See, the question was, do you wear belts to hold your pants up with big buckles? You said yes. How do you get the buckle on the fan belt? So the answer should have been, do you wear belts with big buckles to hold your pants up? No. Why? Because what kind of belts? Now I have to tell you. Now I'm telling you, well, you know, the fan belt. No, we don't wear fan belts. We wear suspenders. See, now I control that every inch of the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if I don't tell you otherwise, I'm talking about fan belts, and you're talking about leather belts. See, pretty soon we're 2 feet away, then we're 10 feet away. Now you're defending. So you're answering questions. You're giving answers to questions that they're not even asking. See? Now let's read the next one, and let's read the next one so we can explain it, and then we're going to get into how to do all this. Go ahead.
Officer includes any person authorized by law to perform the duties of the office.
Now, let me ask you a question. What's the first name of every cop that's ever pulled you over?
Cop.
They all have the same first. All right. So, see, when he pulls you over and you say to him, "Well, I'm a non-resident alien. I'm not required to have a driver's license." See, now you got a problem. It doesn't say he has to know law. It doesn't say he has to understand it. It says he has the ability. He works for the office, and he's authorized to work for the office. See how simple that is? So I'm going to show you how to get around all this. There's a way to get around all this. All we have to do is make them answer. Make them tell us otherwise. Otherwise, this is what we're stuck with. Let's go to the next one. It just keeps getting worse.
Signature or subscription includes a mark when the person making the same intended it as such.
Stop right there. Now, have you heard this argument? I want a blue an original blue ink signature from the judge. Otherwise, this document's no good. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. What's a dot? If I put a dot on a piece of paper, tell me what that is.
It's a dot unless it's a signature. It's a mark.
Nope. So it's the signature. Now it gets worse than that because I want an original blue ink signature. Now finish reading that. And I'm going to show you what they're doing to us.
Signature. Oath. Oath includes affirmation, and sworn includes affirm.
All right. Go ahead to the next one.
Writing includes painting and typewriting and reproductions of visual symbols by photographing, multigraphing, mimeographing, manifolding, and otherwise.
All right. So if the judge puts a dot on a paper, you have the 10th generation. Tell me what you have.
He puts a dot on a piece of paper, and I have what?
The 10th generation. You got the 10th copy of a dot on a piece of paper. What do you have?
I have a judge's signature.
You have an original. That's what it says. The writings can be mimeographed, multigraphed, choreographed. See? It's telling you right there. What we're asking for, unless they tell us otherwise.
Yeah, that's just a copy.
Okay, read it again.
Yeah. Writing includes painting and typewriting and reproduction of visual symbols.
Okay, so reproduction. Wait a minute. What is a reproduction?
It's a photocopy.
Is that a copy? Oh,
yeah.
So a photocopy. Okay, so a photocopy is an original, right?
Right.
So we're asking for something we don't understand. That's the reason we're getting beat. Okay, and what are they talking about? Okay, what part of the law are they talking about?
All of it.
There you go. Any act of Congress, this is what they're talking about. So if you have a judge's doc, and you have the 10th generation, and he intended it so, that's the original blue ink signature of the judge. So we're in there saying, well, I ain't moving unless he tells you otherwise. We have to bring out of them what we need. Doesn't that make sense?
Right.
Okay. See, if I'm arguing with you, and I don't know what you're saying, and I'm still arguing with you, now, I want you to listen to this. I'm going to tell you a quick story. And I want you to answer the question that's asked. I have a 9mm and I have a .45. I'm going to shoot you. What do you want me to shoot you with?
A spit wad.
See how simple that was? All I did is, what do you want me to? I want you to shoot me with a. See?
You mean I got one right? Hot damn.
No. See? Do you see? See? Because I had to tell you otherwise. And the otherwise was, what do you want me? Okay, now let me ask you a question. Have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog? Okay, by your silence, I assume you're still poisoning it. So you're going to, you see? You can't stand silent. So have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog?
Which dog?
Your neighbor's dog.
Is that the only dog he has?
Okay, ask me the same question, because that's not the right answer. Ask me the same question so I can show you how to answer all these questions to get what you want.
Have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog?
Thank you for asking. Which neighbor? So now, you're going to have to tell me which neighbor. So tell me which neighbor.
The one to your left.
Thank you for that. The one on the left, he don't have a dog.
Have you poisoned his wife?
I don't know. No, I haven't. See, you asked me, did I poison her? No. That's not what they ask you. See, they'll ask you something. Okay, have you stopped spanking your neighbor's wife? See? See the problem you having? Well,
yes.
Unless I tell you, see, no matter how you answer that, well, yeah, I did. Well, when did you stop? You're in a negative position. No, I haven't. Now you're in a negative position. See, we have to be on the offense at all times. Have you stopped spanking your neighbor's wife? Which neighbor? The one behind you. Good night. That guy's single. He's been single for 25 years. See what I just did? I've neutered him. I now control the argument. That's what we're trying to teach you here. We're trying to show you how to answer these questions. Now, let me ask you another question. Do you fill out a 1040?
No.
Why? Hello?
I'm working on the answer. I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know, so I'm going to go ahead and put you in jail because you're willful failure to file. Next. See, this moves around. We're trying to show you how to do that kind of stuff so that this doesn't happen. Now, I'm going to show you what it tells you in the book. Who looked up, and don't hang up there on that yet, but who looked up the 1040 instructions? Who has that looked up for me? Okay. So much for that.
Yeah.
Would you look at that up too for me?
Yes.
Okay, it's going to be the 1040 instructions. 1040 instructions, and go to page 100, and when you get that, come back on. Does anybody have any questions so we can answer your questions and move this on?
Okay. Yes,
all
I have
right.
a question.
Okay.
Once you file your petition to be exempt from taxes and you receive the letter that says it has been granted, can they come back at any time later on, years down the line, and force you to pay any tax?
Okay, now, what you're asking me is give you legal advice and see. Now, I'm going to answer that one for you, but what's the weather going to be like in New York City at July the 3rd on 5th and Main at 1:04 a.m.?
You can't tell me.
Why? You're asking me to see the future, okay?
Okay.
What we're doing is we're showing you how to go to the tax court. Once you go to the tax court and you get your court order, if they come back later, you'll have the document you need. You have a document that you can mail them that says they don't have jurisdiction. Doesn't that make perfect sense?
Yes, it does.
So no matter when they come back, you've got something to send them. We're going to show them how to do it otherwise. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to show you how off the hinge we really are. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No.
If it's personal, will you be mad at me?
No.
Okay, are you a woman of color?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you mind if I ask you what color you are?
I got you.
What color are you?
Purple.
Okay, then you're a woman of color. Now let me explain to you why I said that. If you look up in Webster's dictionary, color black, its definition, it's defined as absence of all color. So if you're black and you say you're a woman of color, you have no color. You have to be white, because white, the definition is the appearance of all color. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
See, we've been taught incorrectly. So if you're a woman of color, you have to be white. I'm just telling you what I'm using words that, remember what it said, unless we tell you otherwise. So what you're doing is you're saying, yes, I'm a woman of color. So you can't be black, because black is the absence of all color. Now, I want to ask you one more question, and I'm going to try to show you what we're trying to teach here. On a colored television set, what color is Mickey Mouse on a colored television set?
White.
Okay. My question to you is, you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny too? Because Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. See? So now you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny too, don't you? Oh, what about the Tooth Fairy? See, unless we tell you otherwise, the reason I asked you what color Mickey Mouse was, because you're going to tell me. But it's not white, by the way. Okay? But see, how can Mickey Mouse have a color? It doesn't exist. What kind of food does Mickey Mouse eat?
He doesn't eat.
Well, how come? You say he's black and white.
If he doesn't exist, he can't eat.
Well, wait a minute. If he doesn't exist, how can he have a color?
Exactly.
Do you see what you see? I'm making you defend what you said. That's where they get us. See, they ask us a question. We answer the question, and then they just say, "Well, why?" Then we start arguing. See, I'm just trying to show you how you can answer their questions. Answer only the question that's asked. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, now I hope I'm not trying to be ugly with you. The guy that was looking up the 1040 instructions, do you have that? Are you on page 100?
I'm on page 100.
Okay, on the top of that page, what's the heading on the top of that page?
Instructions for Schedule 2 tax.
Okay, that's not page 100.
Okay.
Go to page. Well, it might be, but the problem is you might have picked. They changed that. They're one or two pages off. If you would go to page 90. Let me see. Okay, when you say, go to the bottom of the page and look at the bottom. You might be on 100 if it's on a PDF, and there might be a couple of pages that they picked up that's not there. On the bottom of the page, in the middle of the what color, what number is that?
Well, 101. I have an I see instructions for Schedule 3 non-refundable.
Okay, but I want you on page 100. Are you on 100?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to page 97 then.
97.
Yeah, you're pretty close. I just want you. I'm going to show you what the IRS is doing to us, so we can prepare ourselves to do what we have to do to protect ourselves from the Antichrist.
This is IRA deduction worksheet, or
okay, that's not okay. Now you go. See, you're not listening. Go to page 98. I've got to find the page that I just don't know what year you're on, so I'm going to try to find the page. What I'm looking for is Paper Reduction Act. All right, at the top of the page. That's the page I'm looking for. While he's looking for that, it's going to be 97, 98, 99, or 100. Okay, does anybody have a question that they can ask me so we can try our best to try to get you, because April 15th is a week away.
Yeah. Carrie, it is on page 100. It's Disclosure, Privacy Act, and Paperwork
Protection
Act notice.
Okay, since you have, do you mind, sir, if she reads it to us?
No.
Do you want me to begin with the...
No, I want you to wait a minute. Now, don't get too far ahead of me. There's 3 columns. There's a left, a middle, and a right. On the left-hand column, start at the top and bring your eyes down until you see 6001. When you find that, let me know. Okay. All right, and that's right. Now, I want you to read this, but don't read it fast because I'm going to stop you so we can talk about it. Start reading that for me, please.
Our legal right to ask for information is Internal Revenue Code.
Okay, stop right there. Hold on a minute. Our legal right. Tell me who our is.
The IRS, I'm assuming.
Okay, that's correct. Let's read it that way so that it makes more sense.
The IRS's legal right to ask for information.
Stop right there. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. So the IRS does have a legal right to ask. Do you see where I'm coming from? So people, I hear this a lot. They don't even have a legal right to ask. They can't even ask that. The IRS does have a legal right to ask. That's what it says right there. So start over, read that so they understand it, and then I'll stop you someplace else. Start again. The IRS's legal right to ask.
The IRS has a legal right to ask for information. Its Internal Revenue Code, Section 6001, 6011, and 6012, parenthesis A, and their regulations.
Stop right there. Now, if you would, go to Title 26, 6012 while I talk about that. What that says is the IRS's legal right to ask for information. So they have a legal right to ask for information. Their information that they have a legal right to ask comes from 6001, 6011, and 6012A. So, I'm going to ask you a question, if you'll answer it for me. You have to file a 1040 because of 6332A. What did they just do?
They asked something outside of those 61, 1,
okay.
and 60,
that's correct. But that's correct. So what did they ask you? What they asked you was what?
Not their legal right.
Okay, what's opposite of legal right?
Well,
wouldn't it be illegal? No, wouldn't it be illegal? In other words, they have a legal right to ask.
Right.
So, if they're I have a legal right to ask what state you're in. So if I ask you something else, I don't have a legal right to do that. Isn't that correct? Now I want you to think. So think about this for just a minute. You have a fine to pay. That fine is whatever it is. You go to the courthouse and you tell the judge, I want to pay this fine with a brick of cocaine. What would the judge say? What would the judge say?
Pass me the straw?
That's illegal. No. yeah, you're probably right. But what would the judge say other than asking for the straw?
That would be an illegal form of payment, I would assume.
Well, okay, so in other words, cocaine to the judge in a courthouse is the same thing as asking you a question outside of those three sections. Wouldn't that be an easy way to say it or not? If I'm wrong, I need to be corrected.
Can you ask me that again? I got sidetracked.
Okay. If
you did it, didn't
you? All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the judge said to you, you owe $100, and you said, okay, I'm going to bring heroin in a needle for payment, what would the judge say?
I don't know what the judge would say because I'm not in that situation. I would assume he would say that it would be illegal, but I don't know what he would say.
Well, of course he would. Heroin is illegal. It's illegal. You can't pay a fine to a court with heroin, cocaine. You can't
Where
do
does
that.
It say that?
Why?
Where does it say that in the law?
All right. Here's my question. Prostitution is illegal. You owe a fine, so you're going to prostitute yourself out for the fine. You can't. Why? It's illegal. Doesn't that don't make sense to you?
Well, I don't know what illegal means.
Illegal? Okay. Then let's look it up. Do you have a Black's Law Dictionary?
I can get one.
Okay, get one so you can look up illegal. Because what they're doing, see, is illegal. We're trying to establish something so that when they ask you a question, we can ask them to tell us otherwise.
So the definition of illegal in Black's Law Dictionary is not authorized by law, illicit, unlawful, or contrary to law.
Okay, so in other words, illegal is contrary to law. In other words, it's illegal. You can't do it. See what I'm saying? Okay, Here's my question. You're walking down the street with a fifth of whiskey, and you see a 3-year-old kid, and you hand it to him and let him drink it. What would that be?
Illegal?
Morally wrong, but not unlawful.
We don't care about morally. We're not talking morally. It's also illegal. See? Income taxes are immorally wrong. So we don't. Right. The court doesn't. Okay. So if you were to pay a fine with cocaine, the judge couldn't take it. He could put you in prison because you have an illegal substance. So the point that I'm trying to make, any question the IRS asks you outside of those 3 sections is the same thing as, there you go, is the same thing taking cocaine to the courthouse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how I beat them, because they don't see this one coming. So if you owe taxes because of 60, so the IRS says, well, you have willful failure to file because of 7213. Willful failure to file a tax return. What did that IRS agent just do?
He committed, he did something illegal because they don't have the right to ask about that code.
There it is. The tax code is 10,000 pages. It's 8 inches thick. Has anybody read the entire tax code and have it memorized?
We don't have to. We don't have to memorize it because it only pertains to 6001, 6011, and 612. So we only need to know. There you go.
There you go. See? Now, all of a sudden, this tax code is no longer scary. You get a thing in the mail, and it says you're getting a CP-59 because you didn't file a tax return for the year 2015 on the ground 6812. You answer it. Now, let's finish reading that, and I'll show you how you answer when they write you a letter. Finish reading that. 6001, 601, wait a minute, 6001, 6011, A, and the regulations. Okay, now after the regulations.
They say that you must file a return or statement.
Hold on. You're going. Okay. They say. Now, who's they?
The IRS say.
No.
Oh, I get it. I follow you.
6,000, 6,011, and 6,012. That's they.
Okay, so they is alcohol, firearms, and tobacco.
That's not what it is.
No.
6,000, 6,011, and 6,012A is they.
Are they?
They say.
Are they?
They're okay. Okay. Now we got people confused.
Am I understanding that right? You're saying that they mean 6,000.
No, I'm not saying. Wait a second.
Okay.
Let's stop right there. Okay.
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, you're reading something that Congress wrote. So IRS says our legal right to ask is in 6001, 6011, and 6012A and the regulations. They say, now they is 6001, 6011, and 6012A. That's they. They say you must file what?
A return or statement.
Stop right there. Did you file a 1040? No. Why? Because the 1040 instructions told me I can't. You know what it said? Now, would you look up? I'm going to show you how simple this becomes. Would you look up Title 26, Section 6012? While you're looking that up, I'm going to talk about that for a minute. So, if the IRS tells you 6012. Okay. If the IRS tells you if the IRS sends you a letter, okay, somebody's making a lot of noise. Hit *6 so we can blank you out. So now, if the IRS writes you a letter and says you haven't filed a tax return for the last 5 years under 6805, see, we can take this page, highlight it with a cover sheet saying what you're asking is illegal. You don't have a legal right to ask me. And I don't file a 1040. I file a statement and send it back because it tells you right there, you must file a return or statement. So, does that make sense? Now, would you read 6012 out of Title 26? Let's see what it says.
I'm waiting for it to come up.
Okay.
At 6012A, right?
No, don't worry about that. Just read 6012.
Is it
I
just want to make sure I'm in the right section.
Okay. If you'll just wait and give me a second, all I want you to do is read the heading on 6012 because that's going to tell you what's in that section. Then we don't have to worry about it. We can read 6012A later. Read the heading on 6012.
Okay. Well, my computer says it's U.S. Code Annotated. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Annotated. Title 26.
Annotated.
Internal Revenue Code 6012. Persons required to make returns of income.
Stop. Now, under 6012, that's why it says you have to file a return or statement. So there is somebody that has to make a return of an income tax return, a return on income. Don't you want to know who that is? See, if you read 6012, it will tell you. If you're not listed there, do you file a 1040? No. Why? Because 6012 of the Title 26, 6012A says I can't. Or you file one. See, everything you need to know about Title 26 is right there in those 3 sections. So, do you think that's important?
I think so. It sounds important.
Okay. Well, let me give you a suggestion, but I'm going to repeat myself. This is not legal advice. If it were me, I would go to the internet, put in Title 26, Section 6001, print. 6011, print. 6012, print. And then I would go get the regulations and print them. Now you have the entire Title 26 that pertains to you in a book that's 29 pages. The reason I know that is I have it. What I have done is I have added a couple other things in there to help explain what they're saying. But what's happening is, let me try to explain it to you this way. Ma'am, may I ask you another question?
Yeah.
All right. Now, do you have any animals?
Yes, she's married.
I'm married to my husband.
Okay.
What do you mean by animal?
See, but that was a good one. I'm married to my husband. See, your husband, I was going to say, because if you said, I got 3 dogs. Okay, now let me ask you a question. Do you know how many feet a dog has? A 4-legged dog has how many feet?
Well, you just said it had 4 legs, so it must have 4 legs.
No, I said a dog that has 4 legs. How many feet does a 4-legged dog have?
Okay, gotcha. I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Okay. Well, how many? If you were guessing, how many would you guess? A dog that has 4 legs. 4. I would bet you're wrong because dogs have paws.
Okay.
You see, by not listening. See, now you're on defense. See, we got to stay out of the defensive position. That's all I'm trying to teach here.
Thinking differently.
Hey, I have a question.
I don't care if you do or not. Big deal. Oh, go ahead. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So if somebody was trying to get a regular job, obviously the state of the world is kind of shit right now. But if somebody was just trying to get some money and get a regular job, and they got hired, how would they go about the W-4 and all that bullshit? Would it just be a straight up private contractor type of deal?
No. Well, you could go in there and on line 7 type the word exempt, E-X-E-M-P-T. It says if you do exempt, they don't take no taxes out of you. And let me tell you how powerful that is. Every February you have to do another one. If you put married in 6, it'll renew itself every year. But if you do exempt, they take 0 taxes. See, now what will happen is go to the tax court, get your exemption, and there's some other things that I can help you with to give to your employee. And what this does is it releases your employee. The reason the IRS wants you to pay taxes because, see, your FICA, you pay 7.5%, and the employer pays 7.5%. So they're paying 15% of what you make for all the way to the end of the year. So if you make $100,000 a year, that's $15,000 a year. If you do that for 25 years, figure that number out. When you retire, you can draw $3,000 or $4,000 a month till you die and give your kids more than you had in there when you started. Yet on Social Security, you work there for 30 years, you get $1,800. See, the problem we're having is they don't like people like me because I'm trying to show you how you can keep more of what you work for.
Have you heard of the W-4T? Yeah, of course it makes sense. Have you heard of the W-4T?
No, I've seen them, but you see, if your employer will take it, then do it. I don't get into all those specialty forms because that's only going to affect a handful of people. Let me tell you what my expertise is. If you're on Social Security and they're taking your money, I can show you how to stop them from taking it. If you're on a retirement and they're taking as part of your retirement or part of your military pay, I can show you some moves that we're doing that will get that reinstated, where you'll start drawing a full check. That affects the most people.
Are you speaking about the petition to the IRS tax court for lack of jurisdiction?
Yes. Now, that doesn't exist. See, that's something that I actually came up with. I actually came up with it. If you go on the United States Tax Court docket inquiry, put my name in there. I started this in 2008. I finally got it figured out. Once I got it figured out, we do it all the time. Then we take that document that says that the IRS doesn't actually. Okay, let's stay back. What does that court document say? Not down that you brought it up. Who tells you they don't have jurisdiction? Who's telling you the IRS doesn't have jurisdiction?
The tax court.
No, sir. I heard somebody say something. What did you say?
I said the commissioner.
That's correct. See, that's much more powerful. The commissioner of the IRS is not a janitor. He's the big man. So the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service is telling you the IRS doesn't have jurisdiction. See, that's a much bigger hammer than saying the tax court. So we have a tax court that the commissioner said they don't have jurisdiction. Now, for those of you that are on Social Security, and Social Security is taking a percentage of your check or all of your check. What I do is I play the dumb guy all the time. I write a letter to the Social Security Department. Dear Social Security, you can find the one that's local. I'm confused. I'm kind of an idiot. I'm supposed to get $1,800 a month, but I'm only getting $800. There's $1,000 missing. I don't understand. I'm not an attorney. I just don't understand where it's going to. Now, what do you think the Social Security Administration would tell you if you said it that way? What do you think they tell you?
Tough luck.
No, sir. I don't say that.
Would they say hire an attorney?
No. What they say is, well, we have to do what we're told, and the IRS told us to take it. Now, I have a court order saying the IRS can't take it. So then what we do is we go back to the Social Security and say, okay, according to you, here's what you said, on or about such and such a date, letter that you wrote me, highlighted, included for your convenience, you said you have to do what the IRS says. I went to the tax court. I had that problem adjudicated. The commissioner of the IRS said they didn't have jurisdiction, and the court, the tax court, agreed. If you don't stop taking my funds, you will be in contempt of court. If you have to sue the Social Security Administration, you're not going to sue them for taking your money. You're going to sue them for being in contempt of court. See, here we go again. See, now what that does is, unless we tell you otherwise. See, so do you want to argue in court with the IRS about taxes, or do you want to argue in court with the Social Security Administration about being in contempt of court? It's the same thing. It's going the same direction. See, what we're trying to do is show you how to argue something. That way you can do it. Does that help you at all?
Mm-hmm.
What we've done here in the last few months, we've had the I can't tell you the guy's name because it's an active case, but we're asking for $1.5 million because they have really boogered him up, and they've taken a lot of his retirement money. So what they said was, we'll give you $300,000. You're a nuisance. Just go away. So now we've already been told we're getting $300,000. We're asking for $1.5 million. So now we're let the negotiations begin. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, before you ask it, hold on. Before you ask it, do you fill out a 1040 form?
No.
Why?
I don't have to.
See, you're done. You're done. You're going to go. Okay, if you're in court, you're in trouble because you said I don't have to. Okay, are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, why are you making a legal determination? And where does it say you don't have to? Tell me where it says in the title where you don't have to. Okay, because of your silence, I will assume you want to take on the IRS. See, I was indicted. That was the question they asked me. And see, my answer is no. Why? Because the 1040 tells me I can't. Or 6012, Title 26, 6012 tells me I can't. See, now I have an argument using their paperwork. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
We have to stop saying I, me, mine, us. We have to take us out of the composite completely. Before you ask your question, let me show you what I'm trying to say. Do you know your gazettas?
Repeat the question.
Ma'am, do you know your gazintas?
No.
They come before my gazadas.
What?
They come before my gazadas.
Maybe so. But 2 gazinta 4, 4 gazinta 8, 8 gazinta 12. See? In other words, you have to know what we're saying, and that guy, that's really good. So, go ahead and ask your question, ma'am, so we can try to answer it.
Okay. What happens if you get denied on your petition?
Okay. See, the petition was, I asked my petition officer why he denied it. See, you asked me a question that I have no idea how to answer it.
I have a couple
trying to get
people
you
that I know right now that just got denied for it.
Okay, you're not talking to me because the petition at HEB grocery store in Texas, when you petition them to get a gallon of milk, you get it every time. So I don't know what you're. See, what you said is, wonder if I get turned down for my petition. Petition to what? Petition the bathroom? Petition the restaurant? Petition traffic court? Help me out here.
Petition for lack of jurisdiction from the IRS. That you can get that awarded to you from the IRS tax court.
Okay. Now wait a second. See what you're doing? What you're saying makes no sense to me because they don't give it to you. What you do is, if the lady's talking about the tax court, you need to say that. If they deny your tax court, then we will appeal it. We will appeal it to the proper court, and they'll give it to you.
Okay.
Now, what about the $60 fee that they charge you?
Pay it. If you can't afford $60, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm listening.
Hey, if you can't afford $60, then borrow it from somebody. But what's happening is, Ed has of how to fill out the form, and we're still getting people filling out the form that think they want to do it a different way. If you fill out the form proper, the way you're asked to do it, I'm not giving legal advice. If you fill it out the way you're shown how to fill it out, we're 98% it goes through and we get what we're asking for. The small percentage that don't, they give you some reason. We just address it as it goes. What's happening now is we have people doing they're all over the board. They're trying to get, how do you eat an elephant? Do you mind me asking you that, ma'am? How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what we're trying to do here is get you one bite, then you'll be free. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get all the bites in one bite. See? So if you're having problems with it, get a hold of Ed, and then he'll give you my number or my email address, or he'll have me call you, and I will sit down with you and on the phone, and we'll walk you through and find out where the mistake is or what they're asking you, and I'll help you adjust your paper, okay? But
if you try to reinvent the form, it doesn't work.
There you go. That's correct.
What's that?
Now let me show you what I'm talking about. That lady that was talking to me just now, where are you from?
Georgia. I'm from New Jersey, but I live in Georgia.
Okay, in New Jersey. All right. I'm trying to think. In New Jersey. All right. In Texas, we say y'all. What do you say in New Jersey?
You.
Okay.
You.
So. Okay, here's what you just said. I said in Texas we say y'all. You said you. Y'all means I spanked my sister and I poked my dad in the eye. Is that what you means?
No.
Well, see what you just did? Now you have to defend. See, what you should have said is, I don't know. We don't say here, so what does it mean? See, once I define it, then you can tell me, oh, well, that's what we say. Or see, in other words, that's what's happening with this. When I was, 30 years ago, I was a youth pastor. And I used to play a game with the kids, and I'd line them up, and I'd whisper something into this kid's ear. He would whisper to the next ear, to the next ear, to the next ear, and so on and so on and so on. At the end, we let the end guy would say it, would tell you what was said. I would write it down first so we could prove it. I would say something like, popcorn is good and buttery. At the other end, it would say, your mother slipped and fell on a piece of ice. That's the problem we're having now with this thing. We're having people, in other words, I'm telling them what to do. By the time they've gotten it to the end, they're going in there and they're doing some crazy stuff. Does that make sense? So if you're having problems, yeah.
We're past time.
Okay, no problem. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, you did. And I've already emailed it to Ed already, but I'll resend it to him.
Just make sure he reminds him, and then he'll get a hold of me, and I'll call you, and we'll sit down and we'll go through it. We'll see what we have, where the mistakes made, if there is one. If there's not, we'll make an adjustment on your paper. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you learned something. I'm going to leave you with just one more thing, real quick. Does anybody know why they call the form 1040 a 1040? Does anybody know why they call it a 1040 form?
Abraham Lincoln.
Okay. That's right. Abraham Lincoln borrowed money from England to fight the war, and they were 10-year, 40-year bonds that renewed themselves. Now, the 1040, when you fill it out, you're still paying back the Civil War bonds that Lincoln borrowed. Do you know why it's due April the 15th?
It's when
well, that's right. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on the 14th, but died on the 15th. So so I believe that's the reason it's a 1040 form, because they want their money back in England, and it's due on the 15th because that's when Abraham Lincoln died. So it's still tied to that same thing. We have to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and know the answers, and let me tell you otherwise. So if anybody has any questions, let us know.
Hey, quick question. Earlier we were talking about sales taxes, and
okay, I cannot. You're gurgled really bad. I didn't understand the thing you said. It's like
can you hear me now?
I can now. Yes.
Okay. That you use for exemption from sales tax.
Yes.
No, you said you get it from the state.
You go on the state, go to your state.gov, whatever. In Texas, you go to texas.gov, put in exemption form, and it pops right up. You print it out, and it says right on it. You don't know there's no numbers needed for this. You just take it to Walmart. They'll give you a card. You take it one time. You go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware. Go to just wherever you go, wherever you buy your beer, give it to them. They won't charge you tax on your beer. It's all they can't charge tax on Federal Reserve notes. You take your tax exemption form, and it exempts you from all sales tax.
Fantastic. And do you have to put a reason why it's exempt on that form?
Yeah. Title 31, Section 3124.
Excellent. Love it. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, my pleasure.
Folks for calling. Our next call will be April 28th, and we'll see you then. Thank you again.
Thank